Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah, and today we are talking about student loan debt. So you saw the title, Student Loan Forgiveness Makes Me Debt Free. I am so happy to be in this position. I am so grateful that it finally happened. I've been like watching and waiting ever since Joe Biden became president to see what he was gonna do because he did promise us this. And I was so thrilled to hear that it finally came through. The balance I have left on my student debt is just over $10,000. It's $10,380 to be exact. And I have been saving that money up. So I am effectively now debt free. The $380 is no problem for me to pay. So as soon as this application comes out in October and I am able to fill it out and get it to go through, I will be debt free. I am so happy. I almost cried when I heard that news because my debt has been just hanging over me for all these years. It gives me a lot of anxiety. And so to finally hear the news that that is going to be wiped away, it was like truly a life-changing moment for me. So I wanted to come on here today and talk a little bit about the process of paying my debt off, kind of the history of like what my debt looked like in the beginning, my experience in college with paying my debt off, and now I'm 3 years post-grad, so I've had some time post-grad to scrape up some money and pay off some more debt. So I just want to kind of talk about that today, give you guys some tips for what I did when I was paying off my debt. Obviously having $10,000 forgiven is like a huge help. Like that's a huge chunk that I no longer have to work on for the next couple years. But I also paid off about $10,000 of my debt by myself before this forgiveness happened. So I just wanted to talk through some tips and ideas and like things that I did that might help you guys if you're still working on your debt. So a little history about my student debt situation. I initially actually deferred college for a year because I wasn't able to afford it. Initially, I was planning to attend the Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia. I had applied, I had been accepted, I had paid the deposit, and at kind of the last minute, like less than a month before school was going to start, my parents told me, which they had never mentioned to me before, that they were not going to be co-signing anything. My parents were very hands-off when it came to my college application experience completely altogether. They did not take me to any college visits. They did not really help at all with scholarships or like FAFSA or anything like that. So I had to learn all of that stuff by myself and do it all by myself. It was a very stressful process. And then at the end to have them tell me like, oh, by the way, we can't co-sign anything for you, which I just didn't realize or didn't know to expect. I mean, I was like 17, 18 years old. So that was a huge blow. I ended up not being able to go to school. I lost my deposit that I had paid to SCAD, and I had a pretty miserable year after that because all of my friends went away to school and I did not. By the way, I'm so sorry if you guys are hearing like the sounds of Philadelphia outside. I'm filming this on a Saturday afternoon, so it's like really busy outside. I can hear trucks driving by and they're really loud, so I'm so sorry if you guys are distracted by the noise, but we'll just try to get through it. So during my unexpected year off from school, I ended up working a lot. I had like 3 different jobs. I was saving as much money as I could. I was researching a ton of scholarships and grants and all of this stuff that I could do because I knew I wanted to go to college and I knew I was going to have to basically pay for it by myself. My parents were willing to help me a little bit, but they couldn't really afford to help more than like a certain small amount. So I did a lot of it on my own. My parents also didn't go to college, so I think to them it wasn't this like huge important thing. Like they didn't quite understand why it was so important to me. So I really did feel on my own in this process, and that was something that was really hard. But I just want to encourage anybody, like if you're in that situation and you feel like no one's helping you and you have to do it all by yourself, you can do it. You can do it. There's resources out there. There's people who can help you. There's so much good information online, either from the schools you're looking at or just general financial information, information about FAFSA, all of that stuff. Like it is out there. Research as much as you can, learn as much as you can, and you can do it. So during my year off, I was actually ended up being really grateful that I did not end up going to SCAD because the more I looked into it and like heard about it, I just feel like it wouldn't have been a good fit for me, and I don't know that I would have graduated. But during my year off, I heard of St. John's College, which is where I ended up going to school. It's a very tiny liberal arts college in Annapolis, Maryland. A friend of mine had done a summer program there and he loved it, and he came back telling me all about it and was really encouraging me to apply. So I applied, I got accepted, I went and visited the school, and I just fell in love with it. It's this tiny little idyllic brick, like old historical campus. It's actually the 3rd oldest college in the United States. So I just completely fell in love with it when I was there. I loved the program. St. John's is like a whole other topic. The program there is very like unique and weird, but anyway, I fell in love with the school and I knew I wanted to go there. During my visit, which was in April, and then the school year would have started in August, I got my financial aid letter back. So I got a bunch of scholarships and certain things that were going to help me be able to afford the tuition. But the way that it broke out, like the savings that I had and what I was able to afford to pay by myself versus my scholarships, it left me with about a $10,000 gap between what I could afford. So I set up a meeting with the financial aid office and I basically just went in and I was like, hi, I love this school. I really want to go here. I would be an amazing student here. I need you to give me $10,000 more a year. And I just like sat with them and made a case for myself, and they listened to me and they actually ended up granting me $10,000 more a year. They like finagled something with my scholarships to be able to do that for me. So I ended up going to St. John's. I loved it. I graduated in 4 years. I had an amazing experience. And I also came in with a little bit of debt. I believe the FAFSA, like federal limit on debt for freshmen, is $5,500 a year. And I think that's what I took out my first year. So right from the beginning of college, I was already in debt, not as much as most people. Thankfully, it was only about $5,000 or $5,500. I was able to pay the rest out of pocket. So my parents were able to help me also with $4,000 a year. So once a semester, they would send me $2,000 in a lump sum, and I would either like pay that into my tuition, or when I moved off campus, I started using that to pay my rent. I was paying my rent like 6 months at a time and stuff, using the money that they gave me. So my parents ended up helping me a little bit. I had jobs all throughout college. I negotiated some better scholarships, and with all of that stuff combined, I was able to go to school and finish in 4 years and get my degree. I'm the first in my family to have a college degree, and I'm extremely proud of that. So long story short, I ended up graduating college with about $25,000 worth of debt, which is not as much as a lot of people. I know some friends that are in 6 figures of debt, people with master's degrees. Like, there's crazier numbers out there. I'm grateful that mine was only $25,000, which is still a lot of money, but like compared to the average, I think it's a little bit lower. So now I want to talk about paying it off. What did I do? So I started paying off my debt during my freshman year of college. So basically I had a job. I actually had 2 jobs during my freshman year. My first semester, I only had 1 job. My second semester, I got a second job, and I was making payments, like small payments, usually like $100, $200 here and there whenever I had the money. And I did that because even though I was taking out the loan, like you might say, oh, why did you take so much loans if you could afford to pay it off during school? It's because I was not able to pay like the lump sum when I had to pay my tuition, but I was able to pay like a couple $100s here and there during the year. So I actually started paying off my debt during my freshman year, and I continued that pattern of just making small payments whenever I could all the way through college. And I would also use any like extra money that I would get, like any unexpected money or like extra chunks of money. So like my tax return, if I ever got a bonus at work, if I got money for like my birthday or Christmas or anything, like most of that like unexpected random money I was using to put towards my debt. Like I would just act like that money didn't even exist. As soon as I got it, I would put it towards my debt and pay it off. And during this time, I got really into 2 different YouTube channels. The first one is The Financial Diet, which I will link below. They have so much helpful information. They have a whole series of videos about money for college students. So that was really helpful to me when I was working on my debt. It was really motivating to hear stories of like other people that have done this before and tips for managing your money. I learned a lot from that channel. And then I also started following Asia Dang, who famously paid off $200,000 worth of her debt in 2 years. Obviously she's a very high earner, but her content was really motivating to me too, to really like buckle down and get out of debt. So those are the 2 channels I was taking a lot of inspiration from. I will link both of them down below. Another thing that I did was that during college, I started kind of casually reselling clothes on Poshmark. After college, I started doing it with a little bit more intention. Like I would purchase things specifically to resell so I could make a little bit of extra money. And what I did was I had my Poshmark account set up to like direct deposit my money into my regular bank account, but I ended up opening a high yield savings account, and then I linked that to my Poshmark. So all of the sales I was making on Poshmark, I would put all that money directly into my savings account, and I would never see it in my checking, and I wouldn't be tempted to spend it. I would also do it immediately when the payments would hit on Poshmark, so I wasn't tempted to shop on Poshmark with the credit. So that's another tip I have for you. Like if you're doing Poshmark or Uber Eats or DoorDash or like any sort of gig work like that where you get paid on an app, definitely try to link that app to your savings account and just like never look at that money if you can afford to do that. That was really helpful to me because on average I would make at least like around $100 a month selling stuff on Poshmark. So even though it's only $100, that's still more than nothing, and I would put it right into savings. Another thing that I want to acknowledge, I feel like a lot of people do not acknowledge this when they're talking about like their financial successes, is that my parents did help me throughout this. So I had mentioned that my parents were contributing $4,000 a year during the time I was in school, so $4,000 a year for 4 years. That money, like I said, mostly went towards like my rent and my groceries, and the rest of my expenses I was paying myself. But obviously having your rent paid is a huge privilege, so I'm very grateful that my parents were able to help me do that. And then also when I graduated college, they gave me $1,000 as a graduation gift, and I immediately paid off debt with it. I did not buy myself anything fancy, I just paid it towards my debt. Like I said, anytime I was getting unexpected money, and I did not think that they were going to give me that type of money for my graduation. That was the most like money I've ever received as a gift ever, so I just put it straight towards my debt. Wasn't expecting it, didn't need it for anything in particular, so to the debt it went. So I graduated college in May of 2019, and after you graduate, you normally get a 6-month grace period to start repaying your federal debt. So my payments resumed in November of 2019, and at that time I had already paid off one of my loans during college because like I mentioned, I was making payments all through college. So I paid off one of my loans in full, I believe during my senior year of college. So by the time I graduated, one was already done and I just had 4 other ones to work on. Plus I had a private loan that was from St. John's. And the payment on that was only $25 a month and it had no interest rate. So that one was kind of like the least of my worries. Like I just paid the $25 and it would never accrue interest. So I just figured I would deal with that one later. I had 4 federal loans that I was working on and I had to start making the payments in November 2019. So I believe the payments between all of them combined, the minimum payment was like $160 some a month. So I was making that payment, and then also whenever I could, I was paying above the minimum because I knew that that's the only way that you really get out from under your debt because of the interest rates accruing so quickly. So I was always trying to pay above the minimum in order to pay down my balances. And what I would do was pay the minimum across all of them because there's 4 different ones. And then the extra money that I was putting towards, you have to be very careful with doing this when you're paying your debt online. If you don't specifically tell them the instructions of how to apply the payment, they will apply them usually across all of the balances. Like they'll just break up your payment across all of it. But what you want to do typically is pay off your highest interest debt first, because that's going to help you pay less overall. So I would make my minimum payments across all of them, and then the extra money I was going to pay, I would have it only applied to the principal balance of my highest interest loan. So that's a tip for you. A lot of these loan companies are really sneaky about the way they apply your payments because they want you to stay in debt longer. So make sure that your payments are being applied the way that you want them to be. So as we all know, COVID hit us in March 2020. So I was only making those payments for about 4 months before COVID started, and there was the student loan pause where there was no interest rates and no minimum payments due at all. So I used that time to start aggressively saving my money towards my debt. Even though I wasn't making the payments, I figured that basically what I would do is keep that money aside as an emergency fund while I was working on saving it. So instead of just like sending it to the government for no reason, I could at least save it up, still have it in my high yield savings account, have it as an emergency fund in the meantime if anything were to happen. And I ended up needing some of that money during COVID because a lot of crazy things happened financially for me. So that was another tip that I have. I don't know if that's really like still applicable to anyone because I know the pause period is about to end at the end of the year, but as much money as you can save aside and have it serve as an emergency fund in the meantime, I thought that was a really good tactic for me and it came in handy. So all in all, during COVID times, I saved up about $10,000, and the balance remaining on my debt at that time was a little over $12,000. So I was working really hard to save up $12,000, wait and see what would happen with student loan forgiveness, but even if it didn't get forgiven, I would still have all the money saved and I could pay off my debt. And then again, this was a lucky thing that happened to me because of my parents, but my parents offered to completely pay off my St. John's loan. And I think their motivation for that was that my siblings were both taking longer to finish college. Like they've been in college for like 5 or 6 plus years and neither one of them is finished. They're both about to finish, but my parents had been paying $4,000 towards their education every year for like 5, 6 plus years, and for me it was only 4. So I think that they felt like that wasn't quite fair, and they wanted to help me out financially because they had been helping my siblings. So they offered to just pay off the balance of my St. John's loan completely. That was the one that was the private loan. So at that time that they offered me that, the balance was exactly $1,800. So again, really privileged that my dad sent me that money and I was able to just pay that debt off completely in full. The other thing that I did during COVID that I forgot to mention is that I was unemployed during COVID. I lost my job, and so I was receiving unemployment, and there was that period of time where there was like the extra $600 thing where like every time you would get paid, I think it was, I can't remember now if it was every week or every other week, there was like an extra $600 that people were getting paid on top of their regular unemployment rate. And I, again, was very lucky to receive that. So that really helped me like aggressively save, because that was a lot of extra money that I was getting. So I used all of the unemployment payments and also the stimulus money to go towards my debt. Again, I don't know if this is really helpful advice or anything now, because I know that those things are not really happening anymore, and the pandemic hopefully is kind of coming to an end. Payments are about to restart. So I don't know if that's helpful, but I think maybe the mindset of that is really the helpful thing of like, anytime you have extra money, unexpected money, instead of just like going and buying yourself something crazy, if you're in debt, put it towards your debt, and I think that's going to serve you in the long run. At least that's how I felt. So that is kind of the history of my school situation, how I got into debt, where my debt stands right now. So now that my parents have helped me pay off that last St. John's loan, my remaining balance on all my debt is $10,380. And thanks to Joe Biden, my real balance will be $380, which I have saved aside and I'm ready to pay. I can't even tell you how excited I am to pay off that last $380. I'm going to cry. So what now? I wanted to talk a little bit about how I've been handling my money in recent days and kind of since this has happened. So I do have a 401k at work. I contribute the maximum matched amount. My company matches 5% of what I put in. So I put in the full 5%. I would like to raise that percentage in the future, but for now I just leave it at 5%. And, I get my free money from my job, so that's great. I also had a 401k at my previous job. And when I got my new job, I had the option of either rolling over my old 401k into my new 401k, or I could put it into an IRA. So that's what I ended up doing. So I now have both a Roth and a traditional IRA through Wealthfront. This is a service or company that I learned about from the Financial Diet. I trust the Financial Diet completely. I love their recommendations. So they had recommended this company. I looked into it. I really liked it. It's basically like a robo-advisor that helps you invest your money. So I have a traditional and a Roth IRA with them, and I try to contribute to those also as much as I can. Honestly, I haven't really contributed much since I first set them up, but that's a goal that I have for going forward, to max out those accounts as much as I can. I think the limit is $6,000 a year, so I don't know if I can afford to contribute that much to them, but I would like to get as close as I can. So as I mentioned, I had been saving the money up to pay off my debt, so I actually had $10,000 saved, and I was planning for that to be all like obliterated by my debt payment. But now that I don't have to make that payment, thanks to Daddy Joe Biden, I have that money just sitting aside and it's ready to be used for my other financial goals. So I had kind of like stacked these in order of like the steps that I wanted to get to them in. So first was my debt repayment. That was like the number one thing I wanted to get rid of. That's done. My next goal was to save $10,000 for an emergency fund, which now my student loan fund can turn into my emergency fund, which is really great because now I've been able to save myself like $10,000 worth of time of saving that up to go towards an emergency fund. So I am very grateful that it worked out that way. A huge chunk of my financial goals is now hit, and I can just move on to the next. So I have a few other big financial goals and sinking funds that I'll be working on for the rest of this year and into next year. And honestly, for years to come, some of these are really big. But the most immediate sinking fund that I'm working on now is gonna be for moving expenses. I'm probably gonna move out of this apartment next year. My new lease just restarted. I really love this apartment, but it's a little bit small. So I'm hoping that within a year, I can find something a little bit bigger to move into. So I'm gonna save up some money for moving, whether that's like the actual movers and the packing process and moving stuff to a new place, but also first, last, and security deposit, because everyone knows that like is a killer. It's so much money up front that you usually have to pay. So that's gonna be something that I'm gonna work on for like the most immediate goal. And then the other one is my cat's emergency fund. So I want to get pet insurance for my 2 cats, just to make sure that their health is taken care of and they have what they need if they get sick or something happens to them. I want to save the money to be able to get them both pet insurance, but then I also want to have just a small emergency fund, probably in the amount of whatever my deductible would be with the pet insurance, just so that, like I said, if something happens to them, I'm able to just pay the deductible up front. I have the money ready to go and it's not a financial stress on me. So those are my 2 like more immediate goals. And then I have 2 midterm goals. One is to save up money to buy a car. I live in Philadelphia. I don't love the idea of having a car in Philadelphia. I actually watched somebody last night on Broad Street just hit a parked car. Like they just smashed right into this parked car. I don't know if they were drunk or what they were doing, but like the idea of having a car in Philadelphia is just so frustrating. Like in some ways I don't even want to buy a car, because either you park it on the street and you get hit by an idiot, or you park it in a garage and you're paying like $1 bajillion a month to keep it there. So I don't know if I'm like how soon I'm gonna buy a car. That's why it's kind of a midterm goal. I don't know if I'm gonna stay living in Center City, Philadelphia forever. I do love it here, but I could see myself moving out like the East Falls area or like maybe the suburbs. I don't know. But eventually I'd like to buy a car and I want to start saving money towards that. I've never owned a car either, so I have a lot of research to do. And then my other midterm goal is for travel. I haven't really been on a proper vacation in a couple of years, so I would like to save up some money to go on vacation in 2023. I don't know where I want to go. I don't know what I want to do. I think it would be really fun to do an international vacation, but you know, with all these other financial goals floating around, I guess we'll just see how much I can save and how quickly, and based on that number, I will figure out where I can go. And then my last other like really big goal is home ownership. So I am gonna start a sinking fund to save for a down payment on a house. I think that's like many years in the future for me, but I want to start saving for it now because my emergency fund is ready to go. So obviously the earlier the better to start saving for a huge purchase like that. I don't know if I want to buy like a traditional home. A couple years ago I was really into like tiny houses, and I've also been interested in like non-traditional living spaces. Like I actually know more than one person that has purchased a church, like an old church, and converted it into a home, and like stuff like that is really interesting to me. Non-traditional home living spaces. So whatever it is, I think I will eventually either buy or build or restore something, and I want to have the money to do that. So the very last thing that I want to end this video with is that I actually did buy myself a gift as a celebration of being debt-free. This is something I promised myself that I would do years ago, and I was so happy that I was finally able to do it. So I am really into this jewelry brand called Catbird, if you've ever heard of them. They're a relatively small, sustainable jewelry company in Brooklyn, New York. I absolutely love their pieces. I lust over them all day, every day on Instagram. I look at their website all the time. And so I have been kind of keeping my eye on a couple things that I really wanted. And I ended up saving a little bit of extra money so that I could purchase myself something from Catbird. So I actually did receive it the other day and I did an unboxing. So I will insert that now so you guys can watch me unbox, and I'll show you what I got. So for the last bit of this video, I just wanted to unbox the items that I ordered from Catbird as my little gift to myself. So I put some post-it notes over this to cover up my address and personal information, but the box was like a little destroyed. It got a little squashed in transit. That's not Catbird's fault. That's just like the mail carrier, I guess. But I'm just gonna open this. Okay, so it's all wrapped in this like little paper bundle, and then there's the gift boxes inside. So I think that's all that was in the actual box. Yeah, there's just like a return label in there, so we can set that aside. So this already kind of fell out. It's a little matchbook. I actually collect matchbooks, so this is great. It's like a little orange matchbook from Catbird. So that's fun. They always put like cute little gifts in their packaging. It has this cute little like washi tape on it. Okay, so I'm gonna open this up. Oh, this is also kind of falling out, this little flower that they put in there. That's pretty cute. I have one of these that's black from another order I did from Catbird a while ago. So this is cute. I'll probably put this on my bulletin board or something. Okay. I guess let's go from like least exciting to most exciting, even though it's all exciting. Okay, there's a few more like little gifts in here. So this is like a little thing for you to find your ring size, and a sticker, and then their little card. I guess this is like a gift card. And other than that, it looks like it's just the stuff I ordered. So let's start with this, which is probably like the least exciting, but still exciting. It's a little banner. It looks like there's no photo of it on the box, but it's like a little banner that spells out "Love Always." And I was gonna put this up in my window in my bedroom. Okay, so it has some like cute little Easter grass, and then here's the banner. Oh my god, there's glitter getting everywhere. I don't know if you can see, but there's already glitter all over my desk now. So it's adorable. I think it's gonna fit perfectly in my window. I hope it's not too short, but that's really cute. Then I have these two little charms. I ordered 2 charms for a chain that I already have. Oh my god, this is so pretty. So this is the first one. It's like a little pearl on a chain. So cute. I liked this because I felt like if you put it on a chain with other charms, because it has a little chain drop, it'll kind of drop lower and you'll still be able to see everything else. But this is so pretty. I love it. The other charm I got is a little star. Oh my god, this is precious. It's tiny. It's literally the tiniest little star. I don't know if you can barely even see it. So that's again for the chain that I already have. And then this was the main thing that I was trying to order. And honestly, initially I was only gonna order just this one necklace, but then Catbird was having a sale because it was like their anniversary weekend or something, or Labor Day weekend, I don't know. So this necklace was like $25 under the limit for their sale, where if I spent like $25 more, I would get like $100 off or something. So that's why I ended up getting a couple more things, because it was $100 off. But this is the main thing that I wanted. Oh my god, it's so pretty. The chain is twisted a little bit. Hold on, I'm gonna try to undo it. Oh my god, it's freaking gorgeous. It's a moonstone necklace. It's just a little moonstone drop charm on a simple chain. This is so pretty. I am obsessed with this. Moonstone is my favorite stone. I've had my eye on this necklace for so long. I love it. I'm like so proud of myself that I was able to get this for myself. I don't spend money like this on myself ever. And so this is just really special. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Finances and personal finance stuff is something that I am super interested in. So let me know if you liked this video and you like hearing me talk about money and my thought process around it. I think that money should be more talked about than it is among just people and friends and coworkers. Like, I think it shouldn't be this taboo private thing. I think the more that we talk about it, the more we learn, and the more we learn to advocate for ourselves and make better choices and invest better and just like do more with our lives and more with our money. So let me know if this is a topic that you enjoyed hearing me talk about, because I would definitely be interested in filming more videos about finances if that's something you guys are interested in. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!